But you're saying all of this was in a drug-induced haze?
I really don't remember.
Obviously, something happened that made you remember because you went in to change your name, your handle.
I mean, when I was on probation, I never got any help that I needed. I always wanted help.
So you're telling me when you were on deferred adjudication, they didn't give you any help?
He was very young, and it really didn't have any, probably the emotional or the brain development to really. He's older now, much more mature, looking at 30.
I just don't think you're appropriate candidate for deferred adjudication.
This repeat offender is back in court facing up to 15 years in prison after violating the terms of probation. His record already includes serious charges involving a deadly weapon and family violence. After serving 6 years behind bars, he was released, given another opportunity through probation, and now finds himself right back before the judge after another violation. Despite his lengthy criminal history, he's still asking for another chance instead of prison time. If you watched Judge Boyd before, you know she has very little patience for repeat offenders who continue to ignore the rules. Let's see how this hearing unfolds.
State of Texas versus Isidore Aridia. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Your hand, Your Honor.
Defense.
Suzanne Kramer for Mr. Heredia.
And are you Mr. Aridia?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. We're here for sentencing. All right. You applied for deferred adjudication. You entered a plea of no contest on September 17th. According to your plea bargaining agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 15 years in the prison. There's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon, and the state is opposed to your application. Are there any witnesses from either side? State?
No, state.
Defense?
No, Judge.
All right, so it's just argument?
Yes, Judge.
Defense?
Yes, Judge. He has been to prison once before. It was back in 2017 for an assault deadly weapon, as you can see from the report. One of the good things I saw when I was going through this PSI, which you don't normally see, is that he is very motivated for treatment, full-on safety. If you read the facts of this case, because of his drug and alcohol, primarily drugs, but some alcohol use on this particular day, he really does not remember the offense. His birthday was the next day. That's also the anniversary date of his grandmother's death, who he was very close to. He does live and would live with his grandfather, should you see fit to give him deferred. I know that it's an ask because he's been to prison once before. His misdemeanor history is, he's got, I think, a DWI conviction, and maybe an assault married conviction.
So he's asking the court for deferred adjudication, even though he's already been to prison before. This isn't a minor mistake or a simple misdemeanor. These are serious allegations involving a deadly weapon. Considering his past record, it's a bold request. His defense is hoping the judge will give him another opportunity instead of imposing a lengthy prison sentence. But that's going to be a difficult argument to make.
From a while ago. But, if he goes to safety, that's like a good 9-month hit of intensive treatment that I think would serve him much better than going to prison, where he's not, even if he did therapeutic community, it's not going to do him as well. And clearly he needs, he's never really gotten any help from the system. He just went to prison on that ag assault. Looks like he did get deferred initially, but he wasn't really getting any kind of help. And I have talked to him. He has always accepted responsibility for this offense. He never did want a trial. He knew that he did wrong, which I think shows that we might be able to actually get him the help that he needs so that he can get his life together. He goes to prison again. I'm not so sure he's going to get out, and with any of the help he needs, it's going to be just, I think, setting himself up to fail. Is there anything you would like to let the judge know?
You want to raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Go ahead, Edgar.
All right, what would you like to say?
I mean, I know I messed up, Your Honor. I understand that. But, I mean, I've already been to prison. I feel like if I go back, that's really just not going to do anything but help me. It's just really going to send me in a spiral. I mean, when I was on probation, I never got any help that I needed. I always wanted help. I struggled with doing drugs. When I lost my grandmother on my birthday, that kind of hurt. And then soon after, I lost my little brother who I initially grew up with. So it kind of sent me in a spiral. And then in prison time, I lost my son to CPS because the mother of my child was on drugs and didn't really want to try to get my son back. So that really hurt him. And the only support that I have is my mother, my father, and a good friend. He's still by my side no matter what. He's encouraging me every day to do good and wants to see me do good. But I never had any type of help. I would really appreciate if I can get any type of help.
Explanation isn't making things any easier. He previously received deferred adjudication and failed to comply with the conditions that came with it. Probation and deferred adjudication are opportunities to prove you can follow the law, and violating those conditions usually has serious consequences. Blaming the system isn't likely to change the outcome when you've already been given a second chance and failed to take advantage of it.
So you're telling me when you were on deferred adjudication, they didn't give you any help? Because according to what I'm reading from the criminal history, you were on deferred adjudication for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. There was a motion to revoke filed. Now, I'm making assumptions. Usually when there's a motion to revoke that's filed, that means that they're alleging that you violated some conditions. And whatever condition you violate, they are supposed to address that if they're continuing to address that. For example, if there's a drug issue, then they'll address it by giving you drug rehab. If there is an anger issue, they'll address it by giving you a class on anger management. So you're telling me none of that was done?
No, I was on class doing a BIP bad intervention program class, and for them altering my days of class, which kind of gave me a revoke.
So you're saying they gave you BIP?
Yeah.
So this aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, that was against a relative or a family member? All right. And then you had the possession less than 28 grams. You were given deferred adjudication for that. And you were revoked. So you're telling me in all the time that you were on probation in those two instances, nobody offered you any help?
On the parent, and when I was on probation for the 6 years, they were supposed to send me to ISF, but due to COVID, they never sent me to none of those.
Okay.
And just as an aside, Judge, he's only, I think.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Just 1 second. Do you have any questions for him?
Yeah.
State, do you have any questions? All right. So,
He's 28 now. So when all of these other offenses were happening, looks like it to be about 8 to 10 years ago, he was very young. And it really didn't have any, probably the emotional or the brain development to really have taken advantage of whatever he might have been able to take advantage of. But he's older now, much more mature, looking at 30. And I think he would take this seriously.
As the hearing continues, the defense tries to explain his past decisions and asks the court to consider his personal struggles. While addiction and difficult circumstances can certainly affect people's lives, the judge must also weigh the seriousness of the charges and the defendant's repeated violations. With a possible 15-year sentence on the table, the court now has to decide whether another chance is appropriate or whether prison is the only remaining option.
Of course, if you so chose to give him deferred and he goes to safety and he doesn't comply with their rules, back he comes, and you can obviously send him to prison then. But I would like to see if maybe we could give him that chance.
all right. So here's my question. My understanding, your attorney is saying that you were going through some things. So according to the facts of this case, you're offering to buy an item for someone. Is that correct?
I don't recall, but if it says yes.
No, I mean, it's saying that somebody set up to buy an item. I don't know if this was on OfferUp or whatever it was on, but the person arrives to sell his item and then a weapon is pulled on them. It was agreed that the purchase price would be $500. And then you pretended to reach in your pocket for money to pay. And then instead you pulled out a knife and pressed it to the victim's ribs and told the victim you were going to steal the phone. And then you had the wherewithal to change, I guess, I'm from the 70s where you had CBs and stuff. So you changed your handle from what it previously was to the P word. So, I mean, you had the wherewithal, even though, you're saying you had drug-induced issues, you still had the wherewithal to go in and change your account name and everything. And you had the wherewithal to reach out to someone to make a plan to buy an item from them and then set up a place to meet. But you're saying all of this was in a drug-induced haze?
Yes, sir.
Do you see how that sounds?
I see how it sounds. Well, at the time I was doing Xanax, and Xanax, when I do them, it was causing blackouts in and out. So I really don't remember.
And then see, the thing for you not to remember, because you're telling me you're not remembering, obviously something happened that made you remember because you went in to change your name, your handle, from where you had previously reached out to this person.
Judge Boyd carefully examines the defendant's explanation and questions whether it matches the evidence presented in court. The defense argues that he's learned from his mistakes, but the judge also considers whether he's accepting responsibility for his actions. In cases involving serious offenses, accountability often plays a major role in sentencing, and the court closely evaluates whether the defendant has shown genuine signs of change.
And Judge, of course, I'm not a psychologist,
Yes.
obviously by any stretch, but I mean, over all of the years, I think if he's in a drug induced and he can't remember anything later, I don't think that necessarily means that at the time he wasn't able to function and, obviously do what he did. He just doesn't recall it later once the drugs and the alcohol were on.
Okay. All right. Thanks for explaining that. I appreciate that. All right. I just don't think you're appropriate candidate for deferred adjudication. So I'm not going to grant your application. I'm going to find you guilty. There's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon. I'll ask for the therapeutic community. Because of your history, they may not place you in that. I have no authority to force them to place you there. But I do know if you don't ask for it, they definitely will not do it. I'll put in the judgment therapeutic community.
Thank you, Judge.
There's to be no contact with Daniel Anthony Guevara, Guevara. And just one moment. All right. Now, let's speak to time. According to the plea bargain agreement, it's cap of 15. States you're asking for 15. All right. Defense?
Well, of course, Judge, I'm going to be asking for less than that. I think he went 6 years on the last stint, possibly. So I was telling him that I would ask you if you would possibly be willing to consider 8. Should you not be willing to grant the deferred?
All right. All right. The court is going to sentence you to 15 years in the prison. I'll give you credit for any time served. Did you review the trial court certification of defendant's rights to appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, sir.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, we can go off the record. This is what I want you to understand. I take no joy in sending anyone to prison. I am still hopeful that you will do well. I know that 15 years is a lot of time. Any day that you spend in custody, even if it's an hour, it's a lot of time. I understand that. But you're going to have to change your ways, because otherwise what's going to end up happening is you're going to find yourself spending the rest of your life at the prison. And when you look at your history, if you pick up a new case, people are going to see that history, and your minimum is 25 years. And the law is the law. However, if you end up going to prison for 30 years, when it comes time for you to go to parole, they're going to look at your criminal history, and they may be inclined to let you sit there for the full 30 years. You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. So there's still a chance for you to improve yourself, to get your life together. So while you're at the prison, there are plenty of programs that are there for you. Read, get an education. They will give you an education for free. If you don't have your GED, get your GED. Work on improving yourself and do not become institutionalized. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good luck to you. Okay.
Thank you, Judge. Maybe be excused.
Yes.
And after considering the facts, Judge Boyd delivers her decision and explains the importance of protecting the community while remaining fair under the law. Sentencing someone is never an easy responsibility, especially when public safety is involved. The defendant now faces the consequences of repeatedly violating the opportunities he was given. Whether this sentence becomes a turning point in his life remains to be seen, but the court made its decision based on his history and the evidence presented. Let us know what you think about the outcome, and thanks for watching.